Lauren is dressed as her favorite thing, plants.
I love the green. I mean, but I always get compliments because it like brings up my eyes.
Your eyes look very beautiful.
Thanks.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wine and Wisdom. I'm back on the wine. If you watched last week's video, I was doing 75 hard. I did it for 5 and a bit days.
Okay, so we're talking about
manifesting weight loss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, fun story is that Tara has a program called Dream Body, and I have a book called Dream Body, and we created those things before we actually knew each other. So we both have different histories with, you know, binge eating and wanting to lose weight and bad dieting and all that kind of stuff. And we both came to manifestation as a means of losing weight and keeping it off without, you know, giving up any of the things we wanted to give up. I really like food. And wine.
I really like wine. Yeah. Okay, let's dive in.
So I can I just spilled wine all over myself.
First ever Wine and Wisdom unboxing. So Rosé mix.
Charged us like $50 for this. I thought Lauren's a lightweight, so she'll be drunk for sure. If we do it, what are you laughing at?
Look at your feet. Why do they look like that?
It's a Niagara wine. It's not that fancy.
Would you like to start?
Yeah, okay. All right, so Tara's really like the sort of resident expert on...
Lost a nail in my hair.
Let's just leave that in.
I don't know where it went.
Okay, Tara's really the expert on press-on nails and manifesting weight loss.
Yeah.
And she has a program. You've coached a lot of people. I did write a book on just principles around changing the way that I felt about my body in order, you know, to have it look differently. And actually, I didn't really do it consciously. I just got so fed up with, you know, thinking about my body in a certain way, wanting so badly to lose weight, trying all the fad dieting. I hate restrictive, like, I hate feeling like I have to restrict how much I'm eating. I just don't do well with that mindset at all. I rebel against it immediately. And it's absolutely not necessary to be. And I don't believe in like counting calories or any of that kind of stuff, any of that like control or any of those methodologies that say you have to do X in order to get Y it's not true. Yeah. And we're not doctors, but if you can't tell. But we are people who
we're manifestation experts. It's basically the same thing.
Let's not go too far down that rabbit hole. But anyways, but we are people who had a lot of, I mean, maybe we want to talk about both of our stories in regards to weight loss and where we were at before losing weight.
Okay, I'll start.
Please.
Yeah, so I have a very like long and convoluted history with my food and body, but I'll give you guys the short version. But in about grade 7, I started becoming anorexic. I was starving myself. I just wanted to lose weight. I was being bullied by the boys. And then that quickly, like I got down to like 89 pounds and I was like pretty sick, but I didn't feel like I was like, I didn't think that I was. And then my parents like found my journals where I was kind of like really hating myself and took me to therapy, and that didn't really work for me. And I ended up anyway, throughout that started binge eating because I was hungry, obviously, and that led to bulimia. And then that was like the worst part. That lasted about 16 years. So I was bulimic for more than half of my life, and it was really serious, and I struggled for a long time. And then basically I found intuitive eating, which is all about like tapping into your hunger and fullness signals, learning to just like allow all foods to be neutral, honoring your hunger and fullness. And I had been dieting for my entire life. Like I had no idea how to actually eat. Like I was always counting calories or on like low carb or keto, like if name it, I've done it. And it's like, I didn't even know really, like, I knew what hunger was because I was hungry all the time, but I never knew what actual comfortable fullness was because I was either like still hungry after eating or I was like sick and throwing up. So throughout kind of that period, I discovered the book called Intuitive Eating in my 20s, and that was a huge game changer for me. But like a lot of women that read the book Intuitive Eating, I was like, okay, I'm going to lose weight, then I'll eat intuitively because it's like all about like listening to hunger, fullness, so on, eating all the foods. So I kept trying that, and it obviously doesn't work that way. And I learned finally that the diets were just continuously making me gain weight. And how I did this, and if you're someone that's struggling with like food and body, this was a really powerful exercise for me, was I like kind of looked back at all my old journals and I was like, okay, my starting weight was here. And then I went on a diet and I got down to this. And then my next diet that I started, I was like at this weight. And I made the connection that it was higher than my original weight. And then when I kept going down all the list of the diets, it's like I just kept gaining weight every single time. Like, of course I'd lose weight on the diet, but then you always gain it back plus interest. So when I finally made the connection that diets don't work, I was at my heaviest weight. I was like 35 pounds heavier than I am now. And I was like, okay, like I can't do this anymore. I finally hit my limit of like, I just cannot fathom going on another diet. I was so sick and tired of like trying everything. And like, I think a lot of women have this experience where it's like, when I first started dieting, I could go like months without messing up. And then by the end, it was like an hour. Like I'd be like, okay, I'm doing this diet. Like an hour later, I'd be like, I just can't. Kind of like 75 hard. But that wasn't a diet. But anyway, so I decided finally at that point, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go out and live my life and I'm going to fully accept my body. And I did intuitive eating, and I like lost like a few pounds, but I still wasn't where I wanted to really be. And we can kind of dive into this topic, but I feel like that's a big problem with like the body positive industry and the intuitive eating industry is like, they really shame you for still wanting to lose weight. And I feel like there's this big disconnect between like, you can't be body positive if you still want to lose weight, which isn't true. And a lot of women, like, sure, me and Lauren both look great and we have great bodies, but like there's nothing wrong with if we did want to lose a few pounds or if we did lose a few pounds just naturally, but it seems like a very taboo topic.
Everybody has great bodies.
What?
I said everybody has great bodies.
That's
like
true,
there is no like, oh, she weighs this much and her body's great, but if not, blah, 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 whatever. But yeah, I love what you're saying there about you can, because it is still like, I've been like more in shape and weighed less than I currently do, not by a lot, but it is always still a thing where I'm like, I do always want to feel and look my best, but that doesn't mean that I can't also be positive about where I'm at. In fact, it's essential to be positive about where you're at if you want to lose weight and keep it off.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So that's kind of what I really learned in the end was like, okay, full radical acceptance for my body and where I was at. And then when I learned about manifestation, I was like, okay, I'm going to try applying this to my body because I think it's crazy how many people don't apply this to their bodies, because when you think about your entire body is being run by your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is in control of your digestion, your heart rate, your breathing, your metabolism, your healing. And it's like, a lot of manifestation teachers say like, yeah, you can shift your mindset to want to like eat healthier and stuff, but that's not what I teach. It's like, you can literally manifest weight loss by shifting your beliefs and your thoughts around like how your body behaves and what it looks like through visualization and through the mindset work that we teach like in Mind Magic and stuff. So that's what I did. I went and looked through all my limiting beliefs. I recognized how much I was telling the story of, I'm always going to be a binge eater. Like, I'll never be normal around food. I'm always going to be bigger. Like, I'll never have like control, or I'll always struggle. It'll always be hard. So when I started shifting those beliefs, like the weight truly did come off effortlessly. And then that's kind of where I realized like, wow, this really works. And when I created my program and I read Lauren's book, and it's so interesting.
Yeah, I think that like really the principles of manifestation when it comes to weight loss, it's really that if you want a different outcome, you have to create a different energetic environment, right? And you create your energetic environment in relation to different areas of your life based on what it is that you're thinking and feeling. So traditionally, when it comes to dieting, people are in this really like, I mean, pun intended, yo-yo, yo-yo mindset where they're like, once my body looks a certain way, then I'll feel a certain way about it. But until then, I'm not going to like it. I'm going to think really mean thoughts about it. I'm going to, tell it that it's not good enough. And whether you're aware of the fact that you're doing this or not, if you are someone who has dieted in the past, it's very, very likely that you've looked in the mirror and thought, I wish you looked differently, right? And been really hard on yourself and been not in the energetic, frequency, if you will, of having your dream body, right? Because manifestation is all about feeling and thinking as if you already have what it is that you want. And so when you're standing in the mirror and you're looking at yourself from this place of, it's not good enough, I'm not where I want to be, I don't like the way that you look, I need you to look differently, those are not the thoughts of the version of you who has and sustains her or his dream body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's really like what we want to go to look at. And for me, like I had manifested weight loss, or lost quite a lot of weight overnight, sort of, in a short period of time, like without consciously choosing to, simply by, and this was before I really knew about manifestation. I actually talk about this all in my book, about how there's been a few times in my life where I suddenly lost quite a bit of weight. And it wasn't because I actually changed anything. It's because I unknowingly changed what it was that I was like, basically let go of the resistance that was caused by needing to lose weight. So the first time for me, like my history, I never had like any like diagnosed, eating disorders or anything. And I never had purged or anything like that. I definitely binged a lot. And that was out of this like all or nothing mindset, right? If I can't be perfect, I'm just going to sabotage. And now I feel really crappy about myself. So I'm just going to eat more. And now I feel even worse. So I guess I'll just keep eating. Like I definitely had that going on. But I also had lots of scenarios where I had dieted, and I would diet with like basically my entire mindset was like fewer calories equals more weight lost. Yeah. Right. And so, and I have like MyFitnessPal. I think MyFitnessPal, like for so many people, is used very incorrectly. And the way the thing that I don't think there's anything wrong with like, tracking your food if you're doing it from a place of love for your body, like fine. I don't personally, that doesn't resonate with me anymore. But most people like
fell out. I heard it.
Pardon?
The nail just fell out of my hair. No.
But I think that most people, if you want more of this goodness every single week with Lauren and Sarah inside Mind Magic, Sarah tried to put nails on me once and I ripped them off within 24 hours. I hated it.
Wait, just a quick side note. It's actually the funniest thing you've ever seen. And I have it's saved on my story highlights on Instagram. People still message me all the time, Lauren, and they're like, I just watch this whenever I need a good laugh. Like, it's so good.
Anyways, so what was I saying about that? Like what I used to do. Well, so MyFitnessPal has this thing where at the end of the day, you log all your calories and all your activity, and then you like hit submit or whatever, and it's like, if every day were like today, you would weigh X number of pounds in 6 weeks from now or whatever. And that's
absolutely not true.
It's absolutely not true. To think that it's that black and white is absolutely ridiculous. But for me, it really, when I was like in my early 20s, it really instilled within me this belief that like, I just need to eat less and exercise more. And so I did that. And I probably, like the first time I ever got like to like my thinnest, I was in, I think I was like 22. And I was probably eating 900 calories a day on average. And I was like measuring out soy sauce and stuff like that, because every calorie counts inside like platforms like MyFitnessPal. I was exercising a lot. After a while, like my hair started falling out. I lost my period for 6 months. Wow. So in my mind, that wasn't an eating disorder because I was still. It was. Well, I know that it was, but it wasn't like anorexia. It's like you have this like, as far as my understanding is, you have this like aversion to food.
No, that's not true.
Or like fear of it.
Lots of anorexics would love to eat, but they just get so deep into. Like,
yeah, it wasn't like an ongoing thing for me. Like I did it for, 4 or 5 months. Of course, then I immediately started eating again and gained all of it back and then some. Anyway, so then flash forward like maybe 4 years or something, and I started experiencing a lot of joint pain, and I was like 25. Looking back, I think it was like, if you feed your body such negative thoughts, for such a long time, this is what like disease is, right? It's emotional trauma that we hold on to in our bodies. Louise Hayes talks all about that. Anyway, so I started experiencing like really, really severe joint pain, and that caused me to start looking at my diet. I wasn't willing to like go on really scary medications for arthritis. I just like wasn't willing for that to be my story back then. I was like, even though I wasn't into any of this kind of stuff, I was like, I just believe that I can change that. Like this doesn't, because doctors that I was seeing were like, it's just going to get worse. People that get, something like rheumatoid arthritis at your age, like, you might be in a wheelchair in your 40s. Like I was hearing things like that. Anyway, so I started looking at my diet. It caused me to give up all animal products, which felt like a really aligned action at the time. And I've been vegan ever since. And it's like, I love it. But it also had me decide to start doing things for my body rather than like against my body, right? Where I was like, I'm really tired of living in this mindset of like, I just want to lose weight, being so hard on myself. I'm going to do this because I want my body to be healthy. And it was like in that shift, in that like letting go of needing to lose weight in order to feel a certain way, I moved into this like energy of appreciation and love for my body that had me lose like 15 pounds inside of a couple of weeks. And I've never really like gone back since then. Anyway, so, and since then I've had periods of time where like, I'll have a mindset shift where I'll set an intention, but I'll be in like a really good place with my body, or I'll be, finding the love for it first. And then out of that comes like the desire to go to the gym more, the desire to just be more conscious about what I'm eating or cook at home more or whatever. But it is always a mindset. Like it's always a shift in the way that I'm thinking and the energy that I'm holding around my body that has it shift.
Yeah. 1,000,000%. Yeah. And like, even, it's just like super interesting how much your beliefs will truly shape your body. And there's a really cool study called the milkshake experiment, where they had the same milkshake, like high fat, super high sugar, whatever milkshake. And they took 2 groups of people, and one group was told that it was like super indulgent and rich and like creamy and sugary and all the stuff. And the other group was told this is like a Sensi shake. It's nutritious. It's low fat. It's low calorie. And their bodies completely absorbed it differently. So the group that had the Sensi shake actually ended up having 3 times as much hunger hormone still running through their system after ingesting it because of their beliefs. And it's stored, like it was actually stored as fat. So you're storing more as fat, like, and it was all based off, they were having the exact same thing, but their body digested it completely differently. And that's what really started my manifesting dream body journey, was like reading You Are the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and just realizing how powerful our bodies are. And I was like, well, if I can consciously like adjust my heart rate or that thing, like why wouldn't I be able to speed up my metabolism? And like that led me into kind of like metabolism research and realizing, like, did you know that like 90% of the world their only variance is between like 150 calories? The entire world. Unless you have a severe metabolic disorder, like your metabolism is like within 150 calories of like yours, kind of thing. Not like you're resting metabolic, right? So I was like, so that's not really a reason. Like I kept thinking I had a slow metabolism, but that's not actually true. And I just started disproving all these beliefs and changing my identity, which is something that me and Lauren are both really like passionate about right now. And that I no longer was like saying that I'm a binge eater. I was no longer saying like I'm bulimic. I was no longer being like, I have to like eat this to lose weight. I just started saying all the time, like I can eat whatever I want and lose weight. And like, it really started happening.
Yeah. And you also talked to me about like how you found appreciation for your body, or how like your affirmations around like I'm perfectly imperfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a big thing. And like with any type of manifestation, you want to feel the feelings of it being done in order to manifest it. So I just started like visualizing every day, seeing myself in the body that I wanted, feeling into the feelings, getting so grateful and like appreciative of my body. I started doing mirror work every day, which I still do every single day. Like I get naked and I just like love on my body, and I get all the women in my Dream Body program to do that as well. And I just started changing my identity around my body, and it's insane because I was consumed. Like that was my life. That's all I thought about. That's all I cared about. Like that was everything to me. And now it's totally just natural that I just maintain my weight without trying.
Yeah. And I mean, this all comes back to like what we teach in our membership called Mind Magic, which if you're watching this when it is posted, we are opening up next week. Next week. The end of September, because it opens once every 3 months. And it's really about like, what is the story that you're telling about your weight loss or your weight or your body? For me, it was definitely like, I mean, I just expected to weigh a certain amount, but it was also like, I definitely had a belief that unless I could somehow figure out to eat way less and to keep it that way for the rest of my life, I was just going to like keep gaining weight. And that was like a terrifying thought to me because I was so uncomfortable in my body, and I felt so not myself. Like I felt like who I was really meant to be was like trapped. And I know it was only 20 pounds or whatever,
but that's a substantial amount.
It was a substantial amount for how much it impacted who I was for myself and how I allowed myself to show up, you know, with for other people. And like, it just immediately transformed how comfortable I was on camera, how, you know, how I held myself, how I like, it does. Like, I don't think we should make ourselves wrong for however it is that we feel about our bodies or what it is that we desire to look like or how much weight we want to lose or whatever. But for as long as you're telling yourself that it is a shift in action only, like you just have to change what you're eating and what you are, how much you're exercising, it has to be deeper than that. Those things will come as a automatic byproduct of you shifting the way that you think about yourself and your body. And maybe we can like give some tips.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I was going to say is like I ended up eating way more and exercising less, and that resulted in weight loss for me. And everyone's going to be different because I was way overdoing it. I was doing like 2 to 3 hours of exercise per day, and then I was not eating enough calories, and then I was binge eating. And even though I was like throwing it up, it's like my body was just in so much stress that like, of course I couldn't lose weight. Like my cortisol levels were probably like through the roof. So we're not saying that you need to like change your mindset to start to like eating healthy or eating less or work out. It's like far deeper than that. It's like shifting your subconscious mind and your identity. And I feel like so if we were going to give like 3 top tips, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like my 3 top tips would be actually like starting a meditation and visualization practice, because that was a huge game changer for me in recognizing my thoughts that were leading to like the binge eating or how I was feeling about my body. So once I started recognizing the thoughts, then I could shift them. And if you have no awareness around what you're thinking, like nothing is going to change. So that's big. And then visualization is just so powerful for your subconscious mind. And remember that your subconscious mind is like literally creating your body. And I just read in a book yesterday that your body entirely rebuilds itself every 11 months. So if you start changing your thoughts in 11 months, you can have a completely different body of all new cells.
Right. I've heard part was like 7 years.
I've heard both, but I'm going with 11 months.
Whichever you believe. A tip that I always give people is appreciation. Like, because, and actually recently I heard an Instagrammer who talks all about this kind of, well, it talks about like finding, you know, like moving into a place of appreciation with your body, but she's like, sometimes I can't get to a place of love for my body. Like there's just too much, you know, history of thinking a certain way. But what I can always find is respect. I can always find things to respect about my body, things to appreciate about my body. And I think that that's been really, really powerful for me when I do stick to it. It's like, if I can find, I don't have to look in the mirror and be like, I love my stomach. Like I don't. And I probably am not going to get to a place of like, I don't know, doing enough mindset work so that just became something I was like totally obsessed with, right? But I can certainly easily tap into a feeling of appreciation for the fact that I have like a functioning body. I have a body that, you know, does look like, I do appreciate the way that my body looks and moves. I appreciate the fact that I have a body that I get to use every single day. I have, like it's not hard to find things to feel grateful for when it comes to the bodies that allow us to live our lives. Right.
Yeah.
And we have this like mindset about our bodies, which is that like it somehow owes us something. Like it doesn't. If anything, it's the other way around. Your body is
alive like every day.
Exactly. It's like if you just look the way that, like, think about how awful we are to our bodies and how they still show up for us. We can think horrible thoughts all day long about how much we wish it was different, and it's still like, okay, but I'm going to keep you alive today. Like think about if your body was like your best friend. Would that best friend stick around if you said or thought the things that you think about your body towards that person? No. But your body does. So like your body has unconditional love for you, but we're just, anyway. So for me, the tip is like, can you find things to respect or appreciate about your body and start practicing that? And that's for me when things have shifted.
Yeah. There's something I was going to add to that.
It's okay. And what I have found is that it's like you have to practice it for a while. Any like subconscious shift that has you, show up differently or just feel differently habitually, become part of your identity, takes some practice. But as soon as it starts to become wired in, as soon as it starts to become easier for me with practice, that's when my actions start to shift automatically. And they're not significant because I don't ever like limit what I'm eating or anything like that. It's just like a natural desire to want to like go to spin class. It's when I'm doing the mindset work that those actions I don't even have to think about them. They just happen.
Yeah. Okay. There's two things I was going to say. One is about body acceptance. And like, we always think if I accept it and I just like where I'm at, then nothing's going to change. And that is like such a paradox that's completely untrue. And it is so interesting that once you actually do practice radical acceptance, you eliminate the resistance, because as long as there's resistance in you, and that just means like kind of negative feelings or thinking like I'm not where I want to be yet, or comparing yourself to like who you used to be or where you want to be, or you're not there yet, that's resistance. As long as that is there, it's going to be a lot harder to lose weight. So if you could just radically accept where you are and start practicing that, weight loss becomes so much easier because there isn't all that like push and pull. And the other thing is like when you can apply manifestation techniques to your weight loss, you eliminate the need for willpower. So we have like a finite amount of willpower every single day. And if you're trying to lose weight through willpower, you will never succeed, because the minute something goes wrong, the minute things are thrown off, the minute like you get too stressed or you have to make too many decisions early in the day, you run out of willpower, and that is not your fault. Like that is just like something you cannot control. Like, and I feel like that was such a huge thing for me, is like I was constantly trying to like willpower myself into like eating this way or working out or doing all these things. But when I finally shifted my mindset, like what Lauren's talking about, then it was just fun and it was easy and it was effortless.
Yeah, because it's an extension of who you're being, right? Someone who gets up and goes to the gym each day, because there are people that love doing that, they're not having to, Tara, that's the thing. Tara, like, you actually love working out every day, right? But that's like, you don't really have to willpower yourself into that. It's just there.
Yeah.
Right?
Like whenever I stay at Lauren's, I like go work out on the deck, or I work out there every day, and Lauren's like, no, like, and that's just a different piece of our identity. Yeah. And like that, but I mean, you don't have to work out every day to see results. That's just like something that I enjoy. But Lauren enjoys going to spin, and like, it's interesting. And she enjoys eating vegan, which is something for me, no.
Right. And so it's like that, again, that's just like part of my identity. I don't think about being vegan unless I'm like at a steakhouse with friends. Like, yeah. It's just the action that I take. Right. So when we go to work on learning to think, practicing the way of thinking and feeling that version of you would think and feel, the actions come naturally. Yeah. There isn't really a lot of willpower involved.
Yeah. Yeah. So kind of think about, if I was already in my dream body, what would I be doing differently? What would I be thinking? What would I be feeling? And it's like, That's like one other thing is make sure because if you're in your dream body, you're getting dressed every day, you're feeling confident, your clothes fit, you feel good in your clothes. That's a big part of like why we want to be in our dream body. So you need to get clothes that fit you now if you want to be in your dream body. Like, I think that's such a huge mistake that I see people do is like, I'm just gonna like keep all my skinny clothes in my closet and I'm gonna wear sweatpants every day until I lose the weight and I can fit into them. But literally, either you're trying to fit into too small clothes that make you feel overweight and uncomfortable all day long, which is constantly reminding you that you're not where you want to be and therefore manifesting more of it, or you're just feeling like a schlub all day, like wearing sweatpants, and you're not stepping into that dream body version of you. And when I was at my heaviest and I bought all new clothes and I just rocked it and started going on dates and everything, like it was a completely different experience.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think we talk a lot more about this in Mind Magic. It's something a lot of people inside our membership are working on is changing that story, changing that identity around their body and their weight so that weight loss becomes easy for them. But I mean, it's something that both Tara and I feel like if I hadn't figured out how to, weigh less without having to really do anything differently, it would have just been my entire life forever. Like I never would have started this business. Because it was so like, I know for you said like, it was like who you were was someone who fixated on this just like desperate desire to lose weight. Right. Yeah. Where women, I mean, this is where I start getting like a little, radical, but I believe like women are especially, and men too, if you're watching this, but we as human beings are so incredibly powerful that it is no coincidence that, we're taught to focus on what we are not and spend our lives fixated on these things that we're so desperate to change, because if that wasn't in our way, what might we be doing?
Oh my God.
What change might we be creating in the world if we weren't like so habitually focused on, changing the way that we look so that we get to feel good. Right? Yeah. I think there are huge like industries and people who have a very vested interest in you staying stuck in this pattern of not really liking yourself very much and,
spending money to look a certain way. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's time to liberate yourself from that because you got a life to live.
Yeah. And I mean, that resonates with me so much because I was the same as Lauren. Like I wouldn't have started my business until I just decided like, fuck it. Cause I kept waiting. Like we're always waiting on the wait and like till we reach a certain weight, and I was waiting to go on dates and I was waiting to live my life. And I saw this quote somewhere. It's like, live more, weigh less. And it was so true for me. Like, we need to go out and start living and focusing on other things and take your mind off trying to lose weight and focus on like, what do you want out of life aside from that? Like what, as a woman, I think it's very common that a lot of us that can become like such a life fixation and it will ruin your entire life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, we do have a freebie for you guys in the comments, which you can download, which is the fastest way to create something in your life. I don't know, something like that.
I'll also post, I have a free dream body meditation that takes you through like gratitude, visualization. So you guys can listen to that and give that a shot. Yeah. And we'll see you in Mind Magic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.